Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Cattlemen from across the country gather in Denver to discuss important industry issues. Plus, we'll take a look at the value of good preconditioning programs on your operation.
The aim of it is to really strengthen consumers' relationship, connection to beef.
And we'll hear more about the importance of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association's brand strategy.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with your host, Susie Ross.
Hello, I'm Susie Ross. Thanks for watching Cattleman to Cattleman. The 2007 Farm Bill tops this week's cattle industry news. House Ag Chairman Colin Peterson of Minnesota has moved his committee's version of the Farm Bill through the House floor. The Senate will resume its work on the Farm Bill sometime after the August recess. NCBA's top Farm Bill priorities have fared well so far. The bill makes improvements in country of origin labeling requirements, increases funding for conservation programs, and places no new restrictions on marketing or ownership of cattle. We'll have a more detailed look at the 2007 Farm Bill in upcoming episodes of Cattleman to Cattleman. In other news from Washington, NCBA wins an important victory on behalf of cattle feeders. At NCBA's urging, the Environmental Protection Agency has extended its compliance deadline for new provisions of the Clean Water Act until February 2009. The new rules had been set to take effect this summer. This would have made compliance very difficult for many cattle operations. The cattle industry's annual summer conference addressed important issues in Denver.
To be in this business, you have to be an internal optimist. You must have a deep conviction that the marketplace will work. And indeed it does, unless we screw it up with price.
Hundreds of cattlemen had the opportunity to hear from noted Professor Dr. Barry Flinchbaugh from Kansas State University. The professor spoke about the importance of the 2007 Farm Bill and the issues that will impact cattlemen the most.
I've always argued that there is a role for government in agriculture, that we can use ag policy to our advantage. But we need to do this with minimal market distortion.
Also at the summer meeting, the National Cattlemen's Foundation had the honor of rewarding 2 outstanding graduate students with the prestigious W.D. Farr Scholarship. The scholarship winners, who are both working on PhDs at Colorado State University, are already making important contributions to the beef industry.
Oh, I'm really excited. It's an extreme honor to be associated with the Farr name. The entire family is just legendary, and W.D. himself was just a true visionary, and it's just a real honor.
I know that it's truly an honor, and the namesake of this award has meant a great deal to agriculture, and all that we can do as recipients is just to do our best to follow his example and to honor the things he has done. So.
You can read more about the W.D. Farr Scholarship and donate to the fund at nationalcattlemensfoundation.org. Energy was also a hot-button topic at the Denver meeting. We asked cattlemen from across the country for their opinions on the ethanol debate.
I know there are challenges ahead of us in the ethanol situation. I certainly am cognizant of high feed prices. I also do have a feeling about our dependence on foreign oil, and so I want us to keep our eye on the total picture. Agriculture in general, I think, has to be a part of our national security system. So I realize we have challenges with high corn prices right now, but I also know we have challenges with high fuel prices right now.
You know, I'm all for lower prices on fuel, and certainly for the corn farmer to get some higher prices. Later on, we'll determine how we can work within the system as far as finishing cattle is concerned.
It's a big concern as we look at buying feeder cattle and feeding cattle. We know we can feed the byproducts, but it's increased our cost of gains, maybe 20-30% in cases. That's a big jump.
As you just heard, there is no bigger issue on the minds of cattlemen than rising feed grain prices. From the 2007 corn crop to the latest on ethanol policy, cattle producers are tuned into the grain markets like never before. We have more in this week's Market Watch.
Market Watch, brought to you by Pfizer Animal Health.
NCBA's chief economist Greg Dowd says recent discussion of grain supplies is too often focused on short-term prices rather than long-term consequences.
In this whole food versus fuel discussion, the big discussion has been about will we have enough corn? And the fact is that's not really the right way to discuss this. We have had plenty of corn in the United States. We have a very large residual supply. But looking ahead and what we anticipated as far as increased ethanol production, it was very clear that we were going to need historic and record crops. This in 2007 and on into the future. The question was whether the marketplace could entice that through higher prices and exactly how much we could produce.
For the time being, farmers have responded to the increased demand for corn in a big way.
The June 30th USDA acreage report, not intentions but actual planted acreage, indicated that U.S. corn farmers reacted in a historic fashion. We're going to have the largest corn acreage since 1944, really essentially a record corn crop by a large margin.
But Dowd says policymakers should be more mindful of the long-term impact on all sectors of agriculture.
But it is going to be an issue on down the road, is the fact that will the marketplace then decide to plant more soybeans and less corn in 2008, and then again in 2009 will we be back into this discussion again about needing higher prices to entice higher acreage. But that's the role of the marketplace to decide, and cattlemen can compete in that marketplace if we've got our wits about us and can manage that risk.
But cattlemen need a level playing field when purchasing grain. That's the message NCBA lobbyist Jason Jordan takes to Capitol Hill as Congress debates its energy legislation.
I think we've been working to articulate exactly what the fundamental concerns are here. It's not so much about exactly what the price of corn is today, although that certainly has an impact on folks' bottom line and we need to be aware of that. But it's also the fact that these mandates are built on a series of assumptions into the future. And it's not so much what is in the here and now, but what the impact of this legislation is going to be 5, even 10 years from now, when we have created a mandate that creates an unlevel playing field for cattle producers when they are at a disadvantage in purchasing corn no matter what the price of that commodity is. And that's what we've been trying to articulate to folks, is that while we're certainly supportive of advancing renewable and alternative fuels, we need to be careful about how we do that and have a well thought out approach to ensure that we don't hamper the effort in the end.
Congress is expected to debate energy policy well into its fall session. We'll have the latest updates for you right here on Cattleman to Cattleman. It's tough to put a price on the value of a good preconditioning program. We'll explain how it can benefit your operation next. Plus, we'll take a look at NCBA's new efforts to communicate the importance of beef in the American diet. But first, here's a look at this week's market summary provided by Cattle Facts.
I was just about to land on a fresh pile of manure when I was strangely attracted to this stuff on the wall. Quick Bait Spot Spray. That's good eating. Ooh, Quick Bait Fly Bait. I know it's gonna kill me, but I still love it.
Quick Bait Fly Bait and Spot Spray make a lethal combination to lure flies into certain death.
Purina's wind and rain minerals are research tested and field proven to provide balanced mineral nutrition essential for cattle health, growth, and reproduction. They're highly palatable so cattle consume what they need when they need it. And wind and rain mineral special formulation resists the elements so they won't blow out of the feeder and maintain their palatability even if they've been wet. Wind and rain cattle minerals from Purina Mills, building better cattle.
Fort Dodge Animal Health knows your animals are an important part of your way of life. That's why we're committed to providing you with a complete family of livestock vaccines and pharmaceuticals to protect your investments, save you time, and ensure quality and safety in your operation. Your herd and your horses are important to you. That's why they're important to us. Fort Dodge Animal Health. For more information on our entire family of livestock products, visit us online.
Welcome back to Cattleman. In this week's Cattle Learning Center segment, we're taking a look at why a good preconditioning program is a necessary component on your operation. We caught up with Dr. Jerry Stucca in North Dakota to explain why it's so important.
We're here in North Dakota. This is the time of the year when our cattlemen need to start thinking about weaning or perhaps preconditioning their calves. The question might be, what's preconditioning? Preconditioning is simply preparing those calves for the next phase. It might simply mean immunization of calves, or it might mean immunization along with weaning. But in addition to that, it's important for our cattlemen to understand that there are some basics associated with pre-weaning or preconditioning, preparing our calves. And that's things like castrating and dehorning, and yes, providing immunizations to those calves. One of the most important persons that you can use in your beef cattle operation is your local veterinarian. Your veterinarian should be a source of animal health information, should be a source of production information. He can help you decide what products to use, whether it be in your cows or calves. Not only what products to use, but when to use them. Today we have with us Dr. Vernon Knutson, local veterinarian. Dr. Knutson, what have you seen in terms of preconditioning over the years?
Well, we've promoted preconditioning rather extensively, and it's probably the last 15 years we've seen where the producer has been paid for it, both by better efficiency of his cattle and a better price at the market.
Very good. Dan is one of the cow-calf producers who utilizes Dr. Knutson. What have you seen in your own herd?
Well, there's just a certain comfort level with having a complete health program. We've seen it in our calves that are in backgrounding lots. We've seen an improved herd health, overall health there. Hopefully it follows all the way through as the heifers are turned into the cow herd and turned into productive cows.
Murray, you've seen perhaps the same thing on your operation?
Well, I agree with Dan, and hopefully there'll be greater returns in the end.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen, for your input.
You're welcome.
And now we're going to look at other phases of production. We're going to get others that are involved in the marketing system and in the production system and get their take on the value of preconditioning.
Most of our clients do several things to get their calves ready for sale. We have a really good nutrition program, and they're also involved in preconditioning those calves prior to sale, either giving shots pre-weaning or at weaning and boosting those shots before they background them or are taken to the sale. In our preconditioning programs, we're working to prevent diseases like BVD, IBR, Pastorella. The benefits that producers see from preconditioning are numerous. One, the calves are hopefully disease-free, less chance to get disease, less stressed when they are weaned and put on the backgrounding ration or in the feedlot. And so those cattle gain better for the producers, and ultimately that's what they sell as weight. When they get those cattle to the marketplace, they usually have the reputation of those calves being preconditioned, so there's a buyer demand for them. Because those calves are stress-free, they're gaining better, they're healthier, and they get repeat customers buying those calves. It's important for producers to have that good reputation for quality cattle and genetics. They're getting repeat buyers every year, repeat customers buying their cattle, and also it helps them to market their cattle for pounds, and that's what they're selling ultimately.
When we return, Dr. Stucca continues to look at the value of a preconditioning program and explains how it affects each part of the cattle production chain.
In 1874, an innovation changed the beef industry forever. It was called barbed wire, and it brought an end to open range grazing and began a whole new era of cattle management. Today there's another breakthrough innovation changing the beef industry. It's called Draxxin, and it's one more way Pfizer Animal Health is working with veterinarians and cattlemen to open up a whole new era in animal health. To learn more about Draxxin, talk to your veterinarian.
From fresh tomatoes to potatoes and chicken to beef, we're as picky about our quality ingredients as you are. because that's what we're made of.
Welcome back. Cattle producers understand that their actions affect the next step in the production chain and the ultimate quality of the final beef product. Let's head back out to Dr. Stucca in North Dakota for more on the importance of preconditioning.
Perhaps in its simplest terms, it means to accustom or train calves, train animals, for the next phase. And by that, what we're talking about is an animal that, at the very minimum, has been dehorned, it's been castrated, it's received some immunizations that protect it against certain diseases prior to when it enters the next phase, prior to or just after it leaves the safety and the comfort of being with its mother during the summer months or during the suckling phase.
As an order buyer, we like to buy as many preconditioned calves and yearlings as we can find. Our customers prefer them over other cattle. Preconditioned cattle just stay alive. I mean, we can take those cattle and take them into a feed yard, they'll gain, they'll convert, and they'll stay healthy, and that's the bottom line. You have to keep these things alive. It's too much money lost with all the medicine and death loss. We just can't afford it any longer. Most of our customers in Iowa won't even accept a calf if it isn't on a program. The documentation that goes along with that, knowing where they came from, who had them, the veterinarian that was involved if there was one, or the vet clinic that sold the products, gives these farmers reassurance that this was done and it was done correctly. Those guys want to know that when they get a set of calves in that come 600, 700 miles, that they're going to stay healthy and that they don't have a lot of death loss and that they won't have a lot of labor involved in taking care of these things. Just like every other feeder in the country, when you can bring a set of preconditioned calves into your yard and they'll stay alive and stay healthy, you know that those cattle are going to convert. And conversion and gains on these cattle, that's the only way we have of cheapening these cattle up until they sell fat. That's our last hope of doing it right. And if they don't stay healthy, we just don't have a chance at all.
The numbers associated with the cost of a sick calf have changed over the years. We used to categorize a sick calf, the cost for a treatment of a sick calf is the cost of a sick calf. We now know that it's no longer true. We have a couple of data sets that finally quantifies those numbers. Texas Ranch to Rail data was some of the first numbers that we were able to apply to the cost of illness. Those numbers kind of tell us that in their data set over an 8 to 10 year period, it costs about $90 per sick calf. More recently, there's been some data out of New Mexico that tells us that cost of treating one time is on the order of $75 for cost of treating one sick calf. When you go beyond treating just one time and get to animals that need a second and a third treatment, that cost more than doubles. In other words, the difference between a calf that has not been treated and a calf that's been treated more than one time goes on upwards to over $200. In other words, that calf that's been treated more than twice has a $200 cost associated with it because he became ill. And that's due to decreased performance, decreased feed efficiency, and decreased quality grade. In other words, decreases the percentage of carcasses grading choice.
I think we help our cattle producer by telling them, bring the best possible calf you can to market that day. Don't take shortcuts or anything. Just make your calves the most marketable calf you can on the day you sell. I guess to make them the most marketable calf they can, I always stress uniformity and also preconditioning them, having a good health program in their calves. Preconditioning is important just from a marketing standpoint, that I think it tells the cattle buyer and the feedlot that the producer has done his utmost to provide the best calf to the feedlot. It's a reflection on the producer saying, I run a top-notch operation and I want to bring the best I have the day I sell my cattle. And preconditioning is part of doing the best that you can do as a cattle producer. Preconditioning is important for everyone in the beef industry because we have to work together from beginning to end. The cow-calf man has to produce the best product he can the same way that the man feeding him at the other end has to produce the best product he can, and you're just delivering a healthy animal throughout the whole chain, and you're giving a healthier product, a better product to the consumer. I could say as a sale barn owner here, well, once the calves are sold, I don't care, or I don't care what kind of cattle the people bring me because I get a commission whether they're a good calf or a bad calf. But really, I have a role in the cattle industry to tell the producer this is what the industry wants, and the producer has the role after that saying I have to produce a calf that the industry wants. You can't just say I'm a beef producer but I'm not part of the whole industry. The beginning and the end and the middle, everything has to work together so that we have something good and uniform and great at the end that the consumer wants. I think a rancher needs to precondition his calves just from the economic standpoint of it all. For a minimal investment, you get a good return on your investment. People shouldn't look at preconditioning as an expense. It is an investment. For $4 to $6 a head, you can precondition your calves. That in return, when you bring them to the sale barn, can probably return you $30 to $50 a head. It's easy math. It's easy money. I mean, if you could get something like that in the stock market, you take it in an instant. Invest $6, get $50 back, no problem.
Next week, we'll take a look at the importance of fall deworming strategies on your operation and offer important tips. We know the importance of beef in the diet, and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association is working to communicate that necessity to the American public. We'll explain next.
Agriculture is a small portion of the population now, and if we're not working together, we're not going to get anywhere.
As our family, we cannot be in Washington, D.C. all the time, and I just couldn't live without NCBA representing.
They're looking out for our interests. They're there fighting for us every day.
If you got 1 cow or 2 cows or 100 cows, you need to be a member.
I'm a member of the NCBA because a long time ago, 35 years ago, I felt that I needed to know more of what my industry is doing. So I got started at the county level. If you're in the cattle industry, now's the time to join and let your voice be heard loud and clear.
You need NCBA working for you, and NCBA needs you. It's easy to join. Just call, get online, or talk with your state affiliate and sign up today.
We're your National Beef Ambassadors, and you're watching Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, a television show by cattlemen for cattlemen.
New Checkoff-funded research on beef consumers headlined this year's summer meeting's opening session. The research results were key to the committee meetings where producers made decisions about advertising, public relations, new product development, and retail and food service marketing. Kim Essex, a vice president at NCBA with nearly 20 years of consumer marketing experience, explained the findings.
The aim of it is to really strengthen consumers' relationship, connection to beef. You know, consumers have a love affair with beef, but they have a barrier to eating us, and it's health.
The industry can tell many stories about the healthfulness of beef and nutrients such as iron, zinc, and B vitamins, but after talking to consumers across the country, it is clear there is one benefit that is most important to them. The research revealed it's the unique combination of consumers' passion for beef with the body benefits of protein that provides the strongest marketing platform for beef. We're enjoying pictures of summertime in this week's Legacy Photos. Let's take a look. Please keep sending those photos. To do so, head to cattlemantocattleman.org for more information. Next week, we'll take a look at the 2007 Farm Bill. Plus, we'll travel the country with this year's Young Cattlemen's Conference. And as always, your news and market headlines. Thanks for joining us on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Be sure to tune in next week. A new episode airs every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern Time, right here on RFD TV.